I genuinely wake up in the morning. The minute my eyes open, I come downstairs, sit in this chair, and I work on my business. Not
What
because I
time is
feel
that?
5:30 in the morning, something like that. Before 6 o'clock, I start work, proper work, scheduled work at 6. Um, and I have 2 hours then to do exactly what I need to. And I make sure that certain tasks are attributed to different days. So I know tomorrow morning when I wake up, I have to write some captions.
Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Christy Yoder, host of the Master Delegator podcast. The Master Delegator podcast is for busy and overwhelmed entrepreneurs who want to learn how to become effective in the area of delegation and learn how to hire great virtual assistants to help them scale their business and have more time and freedom. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing and don't forget to click the notification bell so you get notified every time I post a new video. Alright, let's get started. Hey, in today's episode of the Master Delegator podcast, I get to talk to Chris James all the way from the UK, and I had a very interesting talk with him, and I'm sure you're going to find it interesting as well. So, Chris is an organic content strategist helping small business owners win clients through content. He has 16 years sales and marketing experience, and he has $3.5 million in agency sales with client wins including Jack Daniels, FedEx, Subway, Pepsi Max, Patty Power, and NFL. And in this episode, we talk all about sales and marketing, specifically the things that you should take note of before you do a discovery call. And we also, of course, talk about delegation. So I know that you are gonna learn a lot from this episode. So keep tuning in. Hey, welcome Chris to the Master Delegator podcast. Thank you for showing up today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I feel honored to be here, excited to get into what we spoke about previously, but I won't ruin anything. So thank you very, very much for having me. I'm really, really looking forward to it.
You're welcome. Well, I don't really know much about you, and when you told me about stuff that you're doing before we hit record, I feel like you're a very interesting guy, and I really want to know your story. So why don't we begin by, you kind of like telling us what you do as an entrepreneur and how long have you been doing it?
Cool. Yeah, sure. So what I'm doing at the moment is helping online business owners, primarily solopreneurs, but not necessarily all of them, scale their businesses on social media using organic marketing and organic content strategy. So really, really exciting, and it sort of plays well into my background, not only working in sales for 15, 16 years, but also heading up sales for one of the largest marketing agencies and the fastest growing marketing agency in the northwest of England. So that's my day job. I absolutely love it there. I speak to massive brands all the time, and we do really, really exciting content projects for them. And we also activate them as well because we're an 80-person sort of integrated
Wait, did
agency.
you say Russell Branson?
Not Russell Branson, no. We have
What's the name?
spoken to Virgin in the past, but no, not we don't do anything for Russell Branson.
Okay,
Not
I
yet.
thought I heard Russell Brunson. Okay,
No, I think I said
go
massive
ahead.
brands.
Okay,
Um,
massive brands.
oh, sorry, I thought then you said Richard Branson. Wow, okay. Yeah, we've gone a bit off here. We're
That's
only
fine.
about 60 seconds in.
I know, right? This is where the fun begins.
Exactly. So yeah, things are going really, really well. I originally started on Instagram in COVID out of pure boredom and copied a few nice carousel creators' designs. And I was making them in Canva, trying to make them in Photoshop, trying to make them in PowerPoint, believe it or not. And settled eventually on Adobe XD, and I came into the Instagram game, if you like, with 30 carousel posts already prepped and ready, not really, knowing a little bit about design, but not knowing anything really about the platform and the amount of effort it can take to grow on there. So started off and developed my own sort of content strategy using the stuff and the ideas and the concepts and sort of foundational fundamentals from the day job, that I try and sell to people all the time. It's just on a different level. I'll be talking to marketing directors at work, then I'll be talking to solopreneurs and helping them on the side or at night, if you like. So yeah, adopted those methods and slowly but surely started gaining a bit of a following. Nothing massive to begin with. And then someone reached out to me and said, because at this stage I was just talking about sales, I niched down probably a little bit too. I was doing a lot of talk about B2B sales, which was obviously my background at this stage. And someone reached out and said, do you reckon you could help me? I'm a bit stuck with sales. And I was like, looked at my wife and I was like, I think I might get a client here. I didn't know you'd do this. I thought it was just fun. And then obviously started working with someone and delved into a bit more into Instagram and how people are using it as a sales tool, and found out about all these various programs and stuff that some of the high level people, some of the smaller people are doing. But at this stage, we're still just doing one-to-one coaching, and clients were getting results. And it was working fine, but I was massively undercharging and undervaluing myself in a way. A client wanted to do something, I'd agree to it straight away, that without question.
Hey, we all started from there.
Exactly, yeah, and that's where that's the stage that a lot of the clients I'm helping come in at. They've got a couple of clients, they're charging by the hour, or they sell 4 hours, or they work on a monthly basis, and they just need to put their hand in the pocket, invest in themselves, and then they suddenly realize, wow, you can actually make 4 or 5 figures for one sale. It doesn't have to be $200 or $80 an hour, and charging by the hour is sort of probably the most self-destructive thing you can do. So
Yeah.
I spoke to a couple of different coaches and some of the big players, I say some of the smaller players, and one of them just said, you're absolutely crazy. And this was a young guy as well, much younger than me. So I had to take my ego out of the equation and actually listen to someone who I thought, well, he had less experience than me in sales, and he was younger than me, and probably better looking as well. So I really, it was a hard pill to swallow. Probably. I'm not saying he definitely was. No, he was. And yeah,
I
he
don't
said,
know.
okay,
I
well,
mean,
thank you. I'll take
I
that.
mean,
I'll take that. So he said, you're absolutely crazy. You should be charging at least 4 figures. So the next sales call I had, I just said, okay, I only work in blocks of 10, and it's £2,500, and closed on the call. And that was the light bulb moment when it's like, right, I didn't even try for that. What about if I actually start trying now? So I
wow.
started really taking it seriously then, and started ramping up efforts with my clients and ramping up my own efforts tenfold. And then, it turned into me putting a full consulting program together, launching in January with no team members, to myself and 3
Wait, January this year? Last
January
year?
this year. Yeah.
Ooh, wow. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's going really well. So there are 10 people in there now, and I launched with no clients and no team members, essentially. And now 10 people in there and 3 other people on my team helping me with it.
That's
Maybe
really
maybe
awesome.
4 or 5 actually, if we count everyone that's in the mix in terms of us as a business and producing content, helping people, scheduling engagement, that kind of thing. So things have ramped up really, really quickly, and the results, I have almost daily messages in our community just saying 2K win, 5K win. It's impressive
Yeah.
stuff, and that's all from people just taking the leap, exactly like I did. I invested in a mentor in the end,
Right.
and listening to some of the stuff that I say and ignoring some of it. As I always say, whatever I say, you don't have to do it all. Do what's best for you. But here's my advice, and lo and behold, people are getting fantastic, life-changing results.
That's really awesome. Well, now I have a lot of questions for you. But first, so you have a day job and you also have your consulting, sales marketing business on the side. So how do you manage your schedule? Because I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there who are doing the same. They have a full-time job and they also have a business on the side. So how do you manage your time? And how do you think you should, or how do you think you should manage your time?
Well, how I am managing and how I think I should manage are very,
Yeah.
very different.
Yes.
Very different sides of the same coin almost. So how I manage it at the moment is, I'm not just saying this because I'm on a podcast and people might be
Yeah.
listening. I genuinely wake up in the morning, the minute my eyes open, I come downstairs, sit in this chair, and I work on my business. Not because
What
I
time is
feel
that?
5:30 in the morning, something like that. Before 6 o'clock, I start work, proper work, scheduled work at 6. And I have 2 hours then to do exactly what I need to, and I make sure that certain tasks are attributed to different days. So I know tomorrow morning when I wake up, I have to write some captions. And I also need to make a start. I need to make a decision on which masterclass I'm going to run next as a free sort of webinar type thing, and flesh out the customer journey in terms of emails and things like that. So I know that's what
Yeah.
I have to do at 8 o'clock. Then typically at 8 o'clock in the morning, I will then have an hour or just under an hour with my kids and my wife. They need to get ready for school. I'll also make breakfast in that time, but I'll help get my little girl ready. My son is old enough to get himself dressed now. Well, thankfully, being 11, but she's 6 and she's a very live wire. She's like a little rocket, so she needs a bit of attention and supervision in the mornings.
I'm
She needs
sure.
needs dampening down a bit. So after that, I then start the day job. And normally, well, as of next week, we have a LinkedIn strategy in place, which I've helped deliver, and some content in place that I've helped conceptualize. And we're going to start 6 people from the day job. We're going to start ramping up this LinkedIn engagement strategy, targeting some of the big players in the beverage, hospitality, and FMCG spaces, financial services as well. So that's going to be my usual half an hour, and then I'll do client calls, either outbound, which can be cold calling, or follow up calls. I'll probably have a couple of meetings. Then we have a bit of creative time, and I'll have a lunch break somewhere in there. Now, where I've really fallen off, and I would urge people not to do the same, is I have just remained seated during that hour. I'm working on my business, which is great. That's 5 hours a week that I'm getting in there, right? If I do that Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
However, I've started neglecting exercise massively. Before COVID, I had a boxing match, my second ever boxing match, and
Wow.
I was so fit, and now I'm 2 stone heavier. And I'm not massively overweight, but I am overweight and I'm
You're
feeling
not.
it.
Yeah.
And that's because I have prioritized my business over my health. And I don't think that's a good idea for anyone. So I have a call with a nutritionist tomorrow. We are going over things. He's also a PT, so he'll be setting me a plan.
Wow.
I've got a gym membership. I'm going to start tracking my sleep, because that's how I achieved sort of peak physical fitness, was through tracking everything. There's a quote, I think it's James Clear. There's a quote that says, "What gets managed gets maintained." So if you can,
Is
what
that
gets
the
measured.
guy, Atomic
Atomic
Habits?
Habit.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So he drops some really good knowledge bombs
Yep.
on his Twitter. So I'm back to measuring that, and that will take up a little percentage of my morning. Or maybe I'll switch out 6 till 7 in the morning and hit the gym then. If I can get back to the boxing gym at 6 a.m., there's no fitness like it, and it will keep me driven because it's enjoyable. I get bored of
Right.
lifting weights, and sometimes the weather's too unpredictable in Manchester. It rains in the summer, it's awful. So then we do some afternoon stuff at work. Then I'll typically have a break for tea and see the kids for a little bit. Then I'll come back in here most nights, even if it's just for an hour, to polish a couple of things off. And then my daughter only lets me put her to bed, and I have to sit with her. She's not a particularly needy child at all, but at bedtime she really needs me. She doesn't let me leave the room. So I've graduated out of the bed now and I can actually sit next to her in the chair. And then when she's asleep, I'll either spend time with my wife, or I'll come back down and do client calls or sales calls, typically, whatever it may be. Have specific days for both. And then it's bedtime, and we do the same again most days of the week. I've not really had many days off. I have chunks of time on the weekend, and I never work a Saturday night. Don't usually work a Friday night, but apart from that, I'm pushing it at the moment as pretty much as full on as I can. So that's the routine
Yeah, well, it takes so much discipline to wake up early in the morning, make sure that you do what you need to do, in 2 hours, and make sure that you're not distracted by anything, and make sure that you have some time for your daughter and for your wife, and you're still able to make food for them. That is really amazing, and that is very inspiring as well, because not a lot of people can do that. They either focus on their business or focus on the family. Like, it's very rare to see people, who has a day job, who can like focus on all three other stuff. I mean, I know you have kind of somehow neglected exercising, but at least you are aware that that is something that you need to do again, and
Yeah.
you do your best to kind of get back on track and be healthy. You contacted your nutritionist friend or whatever to help you, or to be accountable with with your health and with fitness as well. So that is really good. So I went to your website yesterday to kind of get to know about you and what you do, and I noticed that you have a free downloadable PDF that talks about 15 steps that you should do before a discovery call.
Mm.
So would you mind kind of like, I mean, I don't know if it's up to you if you want to mention those 15 steps, but kind of just teach us what are the things that we need to do, the important things that we need to do before a discovery call to make sure that we close that client.
So yeah, some of it's really basic, and some of it requires a little bit more effort. I'd say all of it's quite simple. It's just a bit of a process. So um, there are quite a few things. I think, as you said, there's 15 in total. And I think, to be honest, maybe I just stuck a couple in there to round the number up. Yeah, I probably won't name all 15, but as I say,
Yeah.
I did round that up. But some of the most important things I think you can do are, I use Calendly, and I recommend that all my clients use Calendly for a number of reasons. First and foremost, you can qualify out anyone that isn't relevant through asking specific questions. And those questions are going to give you quite a lot to talk about on the call. And it also integrates with Zoom. So you don't have to mess around trying to send people Zoom links. You can put automated text reminders in there as well for both you and the potential client. So I always recommend using Calendly. And one of the first things I will do before I jump on a call is bring the Calendly answers up, the answers to my questions. So I'm trying to find out where they're at now, where they want to get to, what's stopping them getting there, how quickly do they want to start working together, and have they got budget to invest in solving their problem, essentially. So once I've got that information, I'll also kind of follow a similar framework in the call. Tell me, why are we on the call? Where are you up to? Where do you want to get to? What's the problem, kind of thing? And then if it sounds like a good fit, we'll walk through. So I always start by checking that, and then I ask them to drop a link in, whether it's a link to their Instagram, LinkedIn, website. Go and have a look, do a bit of research, maybe pull out some things that they're doing well and pull out a couple of things they're not doing so well. And then you have a bit of ammo in your pocket if you need to talk or
Right.
justify anything or offer any additional value or recommendations or suggestions about what they can do straight away. So that's one really important thing. Another thing that's in the list is to record the call. So I'm probably skipping ahead a little bit, but I record all my discovery calls, every single one.
Now, do you ask for permission when you do that?
No,
Or okay.
never. So I thought that at first. I was a little bit resistant about it, but I thought I need to do this because I can learn from these. I can go back, listen to myself, find out bits that I'm saying that are awful and change them, and also bits that I'm
Yeah,
saying that
it's for quality control.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
We
And
also asked our salesperson to record her discovery call, not to kind of police what she's doing, but to see, how we can improve as a
exactly.
whole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything's testing and learning. Absolutely
Right.
everything. And if you're a good salesperson, you're never going to have the same discovery call. So there will be a variable or a number of variables every single call that you can change. So yeah, that's one thing I always recommend is recording. I've only ever had one person ask me to turn the recording off, which I did straight away. It's fine, it's no issue. But another reason I record it is because if they do sign up to the program, yes, I get them to agree to some terms and conditions on through my course portal, which I
Mm.
send them to. But I also want to find out more Sorry, I also want to lay out like a verbal agreement, like a kind of like a verbal contract, or a video contract, and then I can send that to them because I'll list out everything that we've agreed, the price, if there's a payment plan, list out everything. They get a copy of just the end, and I'll have a copy as well, just in case any disputes arise. And I have had one, and I didn't use the call in the end. Everything sort of settled amicably, but I went back and looked at the call and pulled it out just in case. So I had
Yeah.
it. Luckily, and I would hate to ever have to go, well, I have a recording of it's just a case of, right, I'll watch it back just to make sure I didn't say anything. I never do, but just I didn't say anything that I think I didn't say or did say. And then yeah, that's another one. The other thing I always recommend, go to the toilet, because if it's a meaty discovery call, you might be there for an hour and a half sometimes, potentially. It's happened to me in the past. And get a drink of water as well. Always make sure you got a drink of water. Another thing is have a bit of a framework, have some good questions, have a good place to take notes. So usually I'll arrange Zoom on one side of the screen and notes or script or pointers on the other. And then the other thing is to have your payment link ready. So don't just go off the end of the call and say, I'll send you an invoice, or, yeah, let's speak tomorrow and get things arranged. If you're in the coaching
Mhm.
and consulting space, there's a reason that person is speaking to you right now and they want help with something. If you're a consultant, you're there to help. You're a coach, you're there to help. So if you leave it 24 hours, that need might not be as high, certainly, and any impulse to join you will
Mhm.
not be as high. So we're always at least taking a deposit, taking full payment wherever possible. I always recommend, or maybe potentially a payment plan, but locking in some form of payment on the call and having a Stripe link, or I use my course login or course cart, which I send the link across and wait on the call while they've done it normally. Just to make sure that we're keeping momentum. And if for whatever reason they don't want to sign up, absolutely fine. There's never any pressure
Yeah.
at all. I'll obviously handle objections and try and make them, if I think they're a good fit, kind of fight for it a little bit and sort of put my case forward as to why I think they should join. But if not, for whatever reason, that's absolutely fine. But all I do ask is that we set a follow-up date so we can talk again in preferably in like 24 hours. But some
Yeah,
people might
right.
want a week. So I think that's the top and bottom of it. There are a few other bits that aren't necessarily as important, but they're the things I really, really recommend.
Are you sick and tired of being overwhelmed and afraid you'll never scale your business? Meet Smart VAs. Unlike many virtual assistant agencies that only assign one dedicated virtual assistant, we provide flexibility for growing businesses by assigning a team of experienced virtual assistants that can do different tasks to support your continuous growth. Visit smartvas.online to book a free discovery call and start growing your business.
All right. So those are really good. I totally agree, using an online calendar and integrating that to Zoom or whatever kind of video conferencing call you're going to use. And I also totally agree, about filtering out your leads,
Mm.
and putting questions on your Calendly link and asking them the important questions so that you get to know the person or your prospect before actually talking to them and pitching your products or services. Now, what do you think is the best rebuttal if there is somebody who says your pricing is too high? I can't afford it. Somebody is 50% cheaper than you.
Okay. So I would agree, because I don't think that my program is cheap at all. Um, and then it would be a case of, so you demonstrate that empathy first and foremost, and that's the same with every objection. There's no set way to handle an objection or a script, but I think there is a framework that you can follow. And I think empathy is always the first on that list. It's not to go, well, no, it's not, and start being defensive, or how much is the other guy, or whatever it
Don't
may
say
be.
no, it's not. You just don't have money to pay. Don't say
Yeah,
that.
because
Have empathy.
there's only really one real reason that someone would say it's too expensive, and that's because they don't believe it's worth that amount of money. It's not too expensive. They just don't believe it's valuable enough. But if they say in comparison to someone else, I would start then, after demonstrating empathy, sort of asking some questions. Normally for every objection, I would try and find out if it is actually that or if it is something else. So you never quite know. There's a lot of objections out there are sort of fake or masked or smokescreen objections, and it may just be that they don't want to do it and then finding an excuse, and that's fine. But I'd rather know that as soon as possible so we can stop wasting both parties' time, kind of thing. But I would start to ask questions and say, well, why do you think we charge what we charge?
Mm-hmm.
And that straight away is there's only a couple of ways they can really go with that, and hopefully they're going to say, well, because you deliver results. Like, okay, so just parking whoever the other party is for the moment, the other potential supplier, if you were to hand over X amount to invest into joining, and we got you the result that you wanted, would that be worth it?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to say yes, hopefully. Unless the results that they're after are less than the price of the program, but I doubt that. So then you could also sort of move on to, so you obviously you're speaking to another supplier you mentioned, and what do you think of them? What's their offer? You can question a little bit around that. Wouldn't dwell too much on it. Maybe even say, yeah, sounds quite good, rather than trash talking. And then after that, it's pretty much a case of trying to find out, well, if they're so good and so cheap, why are you speaking to me?
Right, exactly.
Why are you so curious about exploring other options? So is this actually a matter of who's cheaper? Because I can't compete on price. So if you're going to judge this solely on the cost, then I can't compete. You may as well go with the other guy, or the other lady. However, if you're looking for quality, you're looking for availability, client testimonials, social proof, results, dedication. You can carry on with some of the USPs that you think you have.
Yeah.
I would definitely throw like a design eye and real life sales experience, face to face, not just over Zoom. That kind of thing. If we're competing on those things, then yes, I can be in the mix and I can justify why it's worth spending $3,000 more to be on our program.
Yeah.
But again, I think a lot of the content that sort of circulates the internet in regards to objections is very, very pushy and like just trying to get people down. I prefer a much more conversational route, and sometimes I think that's cost me deals in the past. But I can't. I used to be that guy who would be really, really pushy and try and close.
Yeah.
So which one do you want to go with? Option one or option two? And
Yeah.
it's like
Right.
you can't. I don't believe in doing that anymore. So for me, it's a very, very non-scripted, relaxed conversation, having a laugh. I will just tell them as much as I can, suggestion-wise, about their business. And at the end, hopefully there aren't many objections, because you earn trust through just being a normal person rather than, I've been on on the other end of discovery calls where people are sat there and I can tell they're reading off a script.
Oh, that's terrible. That is terrible. That is
Horrendous.
not the way to go to do sales. Well, I haven't experienced that yet. That would be so fun
Oh, I
to
can tell you that. No, I
experience.
won't really tell you the names. I'm joking.
Can you send me the company name and then I'll try to book a discovery call?
You
Just
should. You
kidding.
should.
Yeah, I love that you said that you're not cheap. I love that you know that. So you're kind of like ready to answer those prospects or potential clients the reason why you're not cheap. Because I believe that cheap services equals to cheap quality.
Cheap
So,
results. Yeah, I
yeah.
always. I've used this in the past where it's like it's a case of, okay, so think of good coaching or consulting like a tattoo, right? Anything that's transformational and is really, really good coaching wise is going to stay with you for the rest of your life, just like a
Mhm.
tattoo. Now, tell me, would you go to the $60 an hour tattoo artist round the corner who's always got space? Or would you wait for 6 months, travel for 2 hours, and know that you're going to come away with an absolute masterpiece and pay 4 times the cost? And then I'll
Yeah.
I'll be quiet. And you know what the answer is. You are kind of forcing an answer, and they'll say, I will go for the more expensive one. If they say go for the cheaper option, I frequently do on discovery calls. I'll be like, yeah, I don't think you should go with us in that case.
Yeah, that's true. That is a good scenario to give to your potential clients. So you mentioned to me earlier that you have started delegating some of your Instagram tasks. Why
Hmm.
did you think you need someone to help you with that?
I think anyone who's looking to scale their business there's only one cap, really. We all know what that is. It's obviously time. Everyone, you, Bill Gates, me, Beyonce, whoever, all have that same 24 hours.
However
Now,
much money you have in the
yeah,
bank, right? We only have
yeah.
24 hours. Yeah.
But that's why you need help in some form. And maybe you don't need it at the start. And we said this before we jumped on. I like to have, if I delegate, I like to know and be able to partially do what I'm delegating rather than just going, I need someone to do this. I like to sort of have skin in the game. I guess I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but yeah, really, really important to understand that if you want to take things to the next level, it's not necessarily worth your time to perform certain tasks. If you're the thinker in the business and the owner, the founder, director, whatever you want to call it, you have to remember that no one cares about this business as much as you do.
Right.
You're the one that wants it to succeed the most, obviously. So you're the one with that vision, and you're the one with the purpose behind them and the mission, and you're the person that's going to drive this forward. And in order to drive businesses forward, you need thinking time. You don't
Right.
need more doing time. Certainly not all the time. So you need to. There are so many things to do, so many hats to wear when you start a business. You are playing. If you think about big businesses or even a 20-person business, they'll start to assign different roles, right? So you might have a salesman, you might have a designer, you might have a marketing person, then you might have a few doers or account managers or something like that. Then you might have a couple of directors, and the directors have that thinking space because they have these other people underneath or surrounding them who are experts at one particular thing, and they can dedicate a whole specific block of time, day, hours, weeks, years to that particular task and get results from it. So I don't know why smaller businesses don't start thinking about doing this earlier, because having expanded the team that I have, um, and have brought certain people in to help me in different areas, I am now making more money because of that. If
Yeah.
I was still doing some of the stuff was doing when I started, I would just be stuck there all the time. And just to paint a picture for anyone, I had to debate for like 24 hours at the start of my journey whether I should sign up to Calendly for a year for $120, and how much time that little piece of software has saved me is absolutely unbelievable. So once you've committed to a couple of bits, and software is a good place to start. Really, anything you can automate is a great place to start.
Yeah.
Um, not everything, some things. Um, Once you signed up to a couple of those, you start to see a little bit of freedom, and you start removing those little annoying admin type tasks that you didn't want to necessarily do all the time. And then you start thinking, oh, that's definitely worth $120 a year. Geez, I probably would have paid $500 a year for that. Then it's a case like, right,
Shh, don't
what
tell
else is,
Calendly that.
yeah, yeah, what else is annoying me? What else takes up too much time? And that is when I started to think about getting, physical help or digital help, if you like, through a person.
Yeah.
Um, and it's been a game changer.
That's really good to know. If there is one thing that you can delegate, from within your house, like in your family or house chores, what would it be?
Great question. Well, I actually, when I started hitting, almost hitting breaking point a few months ago, um, I did a really valuable exercise. And I think any business owner should probably undertake it. It won't take you long. And that's write down, not just business wise, in the whole of your life, write down every single task, everything you do. And I did it in Notion, and then I categorized it. Is it life? Is it work? Is it exercise? Is it family? Is it chores? That kind of thing. Um, and then I put another column in there like, does it have to be me that performs this exercise? And all of a sudden, like, does it absolutely have to be me, or could someone else potentially do it? Like having a shower, no one else can do that for me.
Brushing your teeth, unless
Exactly. Well,
you're
I
a
could
king or
maybe
something.
get someone to do brushing the teeth. But yeah. So that was an eye opener just in itself, and I'd never heard anyone doing this exercise before. So hopefully I've invented it. I'm sure I didn't, but that was a bit of an eye opener. And then that even came down to certain household tasks. And I pay my son to take the bins out every week to the front, take all the bins out of the house into the bin at the front of the house, and take the bin at the front of the house down to the bottom of the drive. So I'm
That's really good.
already thinking like that, because that task annoys me. I haven't got time to do it. Then I've even, I've paid my wife just a small amount. Just said, if you clean my office, will you clean my office? I always try and get it for free first. Will you clean the office for me today? No. Oh, okay, I'll give you a fiver, and then she'll be like tenner. I'm like, oh, go on then, £10, and yeah, I'll outsource absolutely anything I can.
Yeah.
You think
Yeah,
about it.
I
Normal life, you outsource a haircut, you outsource your teeth hygiene, whatever it may be. So yeah, that's how you're going to save time, is listing out the tasks, only focusing on the ones you can do, and paying people to do other things. It'll seem like a lot of money at first, and yes, I've spent a lot of money, but I'm now making that back more.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. The reason I ask, if there are things you can delegate inside your house, how much more your business, right? When it has many moving parts, when you want to scale. And my favorite thing to delegate, in terms of personal things that I need to do, is buying groceries or getting groceries. I rarely go to the grocery store anymore because it takes me like an hour or two, to get the stuff I want. You need to drive. We live in a kind of like countryish neighborhood, so the grocery store is kind of like 15 to 20 minutes away from us. And so sometimes it takes us like 2 to 3 hours to get what we need. And that's a lot of time. You could have spend that time to your kids or to your husband or whatever, to your family, or you could have spent that on your business. And so now I learn how to do my groceries online, and then I just pay someone to to do it for me. They drop it off at my front door, and I'm good. So
exactly. So
yeah, and
important,
I don't.
because so
Yeah, and you
important.
only have to pay like $10, and if your grocery total like $75 more, then you'll get the delivery fee for free. So you don't really have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's such a good concept, and it's something we do as a family, because my wife is time poor as well. She hasn't got much time. She deserves a shout out, to be fair, because she holds together sort of 80% of the house. I'm responsible for the other, especially the kids. So
Yeah.
yeah, she deserves a big shout out. But she also, and I don't know if it's the same way you are, we have two things that really help save extra time on top of getting the groceries or our shopping delivered. Is that you can just do repeat orders. So I'm sure most websites do that now, and if
Yeah.
not, I have an automatic list. So I've listed out everything we could ever possibly want that gets sent to me on a Sunday, and that, because that's when we tend to do our shopping, and that will come up, and it will be like, don't want that, don't want that. Oh yeah, put that on a list. Do, and it just, again, just streamlining, automating whatever you can.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do nowadays. You just need to be open to those kind of possibilities, right? And
Mm,
not be too prideful to to admit that you need help.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, what are we here for? You know, we're here to make money. We're here to spend time with our family and have fun, have a good experience. Maybe
Yeah.
do maybe learn. You know, and pursue a couple of passions and little tasks like going to the grocers and uh, even going to the gym. Like I've devalued that now, and I shouldn't have. But I was thinking that's getting in the way. Um, so obviously it's not. That is a priority and that should be. But these little tasks, getting my hair cut is normally my hair is so short. Um, but I've not got time. I know
Yeah.
I've listened to a couple of entrepreneurs sort of on podcasts talk about things like this, and they've actually said they will get barbers to come to their house. They have live-in cooks, live-in nutritionists. Obviously, we can't all do that, but again, if you want to save further time on food prep, you can order prepped meals now, which are becoming a
Yeah.
big thing, and they're healthy,
Right.
which is
Hmm.
brilliant. So there are a lot of things you can do, and yes, they all cost a little bit more. You know, you've got the delivery fee, you've got it's more than going out and buying, but the time that you will save, the time that you will get back, can be spent either with family, either with friends, or either building or helping someone.
Yeah, because it's an investment. You're getting something out from those things that you are delegating to somebody else, right? So this has been fun, Chris. I love all the discussion that or the topics that we've talked about. So where can people find you online, or do you have any freebie that you want to share? To my audience. Do you want to
Yeah,
promote
sure.
anything?
So, um, depending on what you're most sort of interested in, you can find me on LinkedIn, which is /Chris James online. There's a lot of sort of text posts and more copywritten stuff, a few carousels, couple of videos. If you're more interested in design and seeing video, you can find me on Instagram, which is Sales Guy Chris. I do have freebies available on both. I've got quite a few, and I tend to cycle round them and push them out at different stages. I'm running a masterclass soon at the end of April, so that
What
will
is it
be
about?
I'm not quite sure yet. I'm thinking content strategy or setting up an offer or how to run an efficient discovery call,
Hmm.
design process, maybe. I'm not quite sure. Content creation process, something like that. I've not made my mind up yet. And I do have a Facebook group as well. So if you jump onto one of my where I offer free training and um, little exclusive bits of content and discounts and things like that. So if you jump onto either of my platforms, either LinkedIn or Instagram, you'll be able to find me there, and I can point you in the direction of the Facebook group.
Mm-hmm. That is awesome. Well, thank you so much. What's going on with my tongue today? Thank you so much, Chris, for your time today. I appreciate it. I don't know if you are still gonna work after this podcast episode, but I wish you do. I wish you all the best, in your career and in your entrepreneurial journey. And let's talk again.
Thank you so much, Christy. Really enjoyed it.